Good morning, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. Hope you're doing very well today. Hope you're ready for something very much off the beaten path. We've got a spicy one today. This is Boros Drift. It is a dirtily deck. I can't really call it a combo deck. I can't really call it like a prison deck or a mid-range deck. It is a member of the Dirtle archetype, a proud member. And it is built around the namesake card, Astral Drift. And maybe you know what that card does, maybe you don't, but we'll talk all about the deck, the namesake card, and the surrounding shell before we play a league with it. And this donation league is brought to us by the Spice Master himself, Connor Smith, a very generous donor and one who likes to bring the, fringe decks, the perhaps underrated decks, to the table and to tinker with them. And I've been impressed by a lot of the alterations he's made and the thoughts he's had with all the various lists that he's been working on since he has been an Of the Veil tier member of the Discord. Very generous support, my friend. Really appreciate that. And this is no exception. In fact, this is one of the most appealing ones that I've seen of all of the fringe stuff that Connor has been tinkering with. So, the namesake card, as mentioned, is Astral Drift, kind of the updated and upgraded version of the original Astral Slide. And this is what Astral Drift does. It's an enchantment for 2 generic, 1 white, and it cycles for that same cost. So whenever you cycle Drift, or cycle another card while Drift is on the battlefield, you may exile target creature. If you do, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So what can we do with this? Well, number one, you can cycle a Secluded Steppe. Let's just use this as the go-to. We have Street Wraith, we have a lot of cycling cards, but, let's just say for the sake of argument, you can cycle a Secluded Steppe. You can blink your own Wall of Omens, so you're turning the step into a 1 mana draw 2, obviously. That's pretty good. Very slow, very dirtily, especially because you have to get Astral Drift online first, but that is a major engine of the deck. Another thing you can do is play combat tricks with it. So you could do the exact same thing we just said, except maybe your Wall of Omens wants to block a death-touching attacker or a high-powered attacker that would otherwise kill it. Well, you assign the block and then you blink it with Drift and it'll come back on the end step, so you're kind of fogging the opponent while drawing 2 cards as well. If you don't have a blocker or if that's not the right play, you can also fog the opponent simply by exiling their creature. So lots and lots of utility for Astral Drift. On top of that, you can cycle Drift itself, and still get one of those triggered abilities, which can make a lot of sense if your board state does not allow you to have the luxury of resolving Astral Drift and then getting your engines and your fog effects and so forth online next turn, or if you already have a Drift on the field and you want to turn the redundant copies that would otherwise be in your hand or just deployed to the field for no apparent reason into value. So, lots and lots of flexibility out of the namesake card. Other major payoffs for playing a bunch of cycling effects include Flourishing Fox. Let's start there, and this is a relatively new printing that might have given it the legs to, at least be in consideration for a competitive modern deck. And a list very much like this one, by the way, did recently 5-0, so we can get there. I don't want to undersell it, but I also don't want to oversell it. It's definitely still a bit of a fringe archetype. But anyway, Flourishing Fox is a very, very simple, straightforward card compared to Drift. It is a 1 mana 1/1. Whenever you cycle another card, it gets a +1/+1 counter, and much like Drift, you can cycle it itself if you are not incentivized to deploy it and grow it. So definitely a really interesting win condition. Our other major win condition in terms of actually beating the opponent to death is Yidaro, Wandering Monster, a very cool one. It's a 7-drop, 8/8 trample haste, and you can hardcast it, and you see enough cards that that'll happen, right? You will get there in certain games, especially if the opponent is locked out under a Blood Moon. However, that is not the main plan for this card by any means. It cycles for 2, and whenever you cycle it, not only do you draw a card, remember every time we're cycling, we're cantripping, but Yidaro will shuffle itself from the graveyard into the library, so it kind of increases the density of Yidaros in your deck, or in general of action in your deck, right? And if you have done so 4 times, instead of going from the graveyard to the library, it goes from the graveyard to the battlefield. So it's a major win condition, rewarding you just for seeing it and for doing your normal thing. And, 8/8 Trample Haste will end the game in short order. What else do we have? Well, let's continue talking about win conditions, I guess. We have 4 copies of Blood Moon. We also have 3 copies of Simian's Spirit Guide, which can help power out an early Astral Drift, I guess, but more often we'll just be trying to cheese the opponent out with Blood Moon, giving us time to set up our engines, the full luxury to just dirtle the opponent out of the game. We also have 2 copies of Avalanche Riders, which interestingly supplement Blood Moon in that you can stick the moon and then the riders can come down, start the hasty beats while tagging the opponent's basic land. Like maybe they have 1 basic land, they can kind of half operate. On ETB, you'll tag that basic and then you'll start hitting them with a 2/2. It's also got an echo cost of 3, which you can avoid when you untap. It'll go on the stack and then you can cycle it. Like if you have Astral Drift online, you can cycle something else and blink the Avalanche Riders, allowing you to continue looping the land destruction effect and continue avoiding the echo cost, having really efficient turns. That's a really good way to just wreck the opponent. Obviously, it takes some setup, right? We also have a Gideon of the Trials, which something that Connor had a question mark over from the 5-0 list. I mentioned that it's probably just there to beat combo, you just put something down, put the Gideon down, make an emblem, give them something that they have to deal with. Otherwise, combo, if they don't get mooned out, is likely to go under this very dirtily engine for sure. And Gideon can also play a role if you are disrupting the opponent enough, like if you're able to block with Wall of Omens and +1 on their best threat with Gideon, you can take over the game that way. Gideon can be a win condition as well, no doubt about it. And Ajani Vengeant, it's a good Boros Planeswalker. Much like Gideon's +1, Ajani's +1 can supplement your disruption plan, such as it is, and it's got a -2 Lightning Helix effect and another win condition, a one-sided Armageddon, right? Definitely an interesting inclusion. And then I guess we have to talk about the remainder of the main deck, which are cycling effects and cantripping effects and a bit more interaction. So what have we not talked about yet? Let's start here. We have 4 copies of Street Wraith. The free cycling effect cannot be overlooked here. We have 4 copies of Cast Out, which cycles for 1, which is really, really nice, while also being a really good universal catch-all effect. And Cast Out's a strong card. I definitely agree with playing 4 of here. We have 3 copies of Wall of Omens, which is a premier value-generating machine in context with our Astral Drift engine. 3 copies of Lightning Bolt, helping to close out the game or control the opponent's board, as the case may be. And 2 copies of Condemn, which I guess is kind of a meta call against the Scourge and Shadow decks, and in general is a fine defensive interactive card, and our deck is definitely interacting on the back foot most of the time. We have a land base that is conducive to Blood Moon, with 6 fetch lands, 2 shock lands, 1 basic mountain, and 6 basic plains. We've got some beautiful, I guess they're Masters Edition 3 online if you want to get these on MTGO. Some beautiful basic lands. And then 3 each of the cycling Onslaught lands. Forgotten Cave ×3, Secluded Steppe ×3. Into the sideboard, red and white are a pretty good hate pair right now in terms of what they can bring to bear. We have 3 copies of Rest in Peace, 2 copies of Kor Firewalker, 2 copies of Anger of the Gods. The role of all of those cards, I hope, is pretty obvious to you, the viewer. Anger of the Gods is one change that Connor made from the 5-0 list. The 5-0 list had 2 Sweltering Suns here. And Sweltering Suns is the same thing except it cycles for 3 and does not exile. I think Sweltering Suns is a really good call if you're putting the sweeper effect main deck. But if it's in the sideboard, we're not ever going to really cycle it away in the matches that we're bringing it in, except in the most extremely unusual situations. So I do like Connor's change there. What else do we have? We have a copy of Pithing Needle. It's another hate piece. We kind of pivot into more of a prison deck post-side, I would say, most of the time. A copy of Abrade, a 3rd copy of Avalanche Riders, and we also have a third copy of Condemn. So we have the ability to kind of lean more into the type of interaction that's suited to the matchup, whatever it might be. Condemn for defensive removal against decks with really good threats. Abrade when we need to actively control the opponent's board, whether small creatures or artifacts. Avalanche Riders to double down on the land destruction plan. And then all the hate cards that I mentioned. A couple lesser-known cards that rounded out: 2 copies of Deafening Silence, very good against spell-based combo decks, and also just generally kind of good with our plan, synergistic with our plan, because we can take multiple actions while only casting one spell, right? Because we're cycling, that's not casting. And then we have 2 copies of Valiant Rescuer. This is a 3/1 human soldier for 1 generic and 1 white. Whenever you cycle another card for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So this gives us an alternative dimension on which to attack. We can go wide if we need to clog up the board, or if we need to kill the opponent maybe a little bit more quickly, we can try bringing that guy in. So I have no idea how this league is going to go, but we're about to find out. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much to all Patreon supporters. Thank you once again, above all, to Connor Smith for your very generous donation and for bringing us this list. I hope we at least do decently. I hope we at least show what the deck is capable of. My first run out in the tournament practice lobby with it was actually pretty successful, but it was mostly on the back of Blood Moon. I will be honest. I see us as like almost a moon deck first and a Astral Drift value pseudo control deck, pseudo mid-range deck second. But if we are mooning the opponent out, I think we have a ton of consistency in terms of burying the opponent from there. Whereas other decks with the capability of casting a turn 2 Blood Moon might not have as much consistency in terms of making it to the late game in a commanding position after the opponent has been mooned out. So let's hope for a lot of free wins off of Blood Moon. I'm not too proud to say that I'm hoping for that because I am no expert with the deck. But let's have some fun. Let's play a league. I will see you in round 1. Okay, it is round 1, and I will keep. We've got the obvious plan of turn 1, either Flourishing Fox, if we have the luxury of not having to bolt, or just having to lightning bolt their turn 1 play. We're against Tron, so we're not going to have to bolt anything. But Tron on the play, keeping 7, definitely a little scary. They probably just have Natty Tron because they don't have a turn 1 map. They have a turn 1 sphere. So we're going to shock in Sacred Foundry because our life total doesn't matter much. We'll fix our colors as much as possible. And we do, fortunately, have a relatively quick clock potential by the standards of our deck anyway, because we're looking at turn 1 Fox, a free cycler, a backup cycling land, a lightning bolt to supplement. So there's a lot to like. So opponent looks like they've just got Sylvan Scrying into Tron. Yep. So this is really one where we wish we had a Blood Moon. But there's no moon in sight. Even if we draw one, we can't cast it till they're Tronning us out. Hey, there is the moon, though. I'm going to begin by cycling Street Wraith. If only this was ETB untapped, we could have Simian Spirit Guide potential. Potentially draw the guide and turn 2 moon and likely win from there. But we don't, so some awkwardness here. The high upside line is to cycle step and hit another land. That'd be pretty lucky, though, so I think we just kind of have to play this out. Feels real bad. And then we are going to just attack with the Fox and hope that, like, lightning bolts can answer their payoff somehow. Seems really unlikely. Maybe if they go land Karn tick down on the Fox, we could bolt them, but I don't really bolt the Karn. I don't really see why they would. I think ticking down on a land would be a better play for them if they were going to tick down, or maybe they just tick up, right? Or maybe they have to dig for threats. That'd be kind of cool. If they miraculously do almost nothing here. Okay, expedition map, sure. I think I'm firing off a bolt just to be efficient. Alright, untapped land, let's just Blood Moon. Nope, we don't. We draw a Cast Out. Well, unfortunately, I think we have to cycle that away. It's pretty good. It's better than Lightning Bolt, that's for sure, at answering some Tron payoffs, but we gotta just keep digging. We draw another Flourishing Fox. Sure. Not very good. So this is a very beatable Tron progression, but so not only are there some concerns with our deck about like being fast enough to get the engine online, there's also some early game inconsistency issues like this. Like we don't have enough lands basically, and we also don't have enough cycling effects. We have a lot of high curve clunky stuff in hand, and the bolts are not lining up well. Opponent goes for a Blast Zone. That's always a risk. Honestly, that's fine. If that's all they can really do, then that's all they can really do. Holding back a second Fox was never going to beat them. We have to moon. We have to fade a payoff. Draw an untapped land or a Simian Guide for a moon and just take it from there. But really, we just want to draw a fetch land or a plains because we will be locking ourselves out of white with moon if we just draw a Simian Guide or a mountain or a Sacred Foundry. So, we are still kind of in need of a lot here, but in theory, miraculously, we are still somewhat competitive in this game. We'll see how it goes. Opponent tanking here. All is dust. Basic forest. Okay. We cannot... I think that it's an interesting play from the opponent. We just can't punish him. We draw a third Astral Drift. It's really, really hate to see it. Yeah, I mean, they're fully forgiven for not really knowing our deck at all. I almost think using Blast Zone there is better because we have so many other permanents that are not easily 2-for-1'd by Blast Zone that who knows, but okay, opponent found a Worm Coil. I think we're pretty dead. And another map, sure. Yep. There's the zone. We draw another Blood Moon. I will concede. Well, we cannot really get wins with this deck if we're not getting any kind of functionality. We can't stumble this hard and still beat top tier modern decks. So hopefully that was just us kind of getting the bad variants out of the way nice and early. I'm sure this matchup is fine for us in theory. So we definitely want Abrade on the play, especially in my view. Avalanche Riders, Pithing Needle seems good. There's probably a pretty good argument for Valiant Rescuer as well. I think we're going to move away from the Condemns, even though they would have been like a good answer to Worm Coil under those circumstances. It's just so unlikely that the Tron player is resolving payoffs and Condemn is the way to beat them. It's only good against, like, Worm Coil, exactly. Other things, even other creatures have on-cast triggers or what have you. So, yeah, I think I'm going to bring in all of these cards on the play. The Planeswalkers are looking potentially cuttable, although there's actually a decent role in theory for both. I'm going to trim a wall. I don't know if it's ever correct to fully cut walls because they are such an engine. But certainly Wall of Omens not at its best against Mono Green Tron. You know what? I think I might actually cut an Astral Drift. I'm going to leave my Planeswalkers in. Could trim a Lightning Bolt too, but I'm just going to go full aggressor mode. And that includes leaving in the Planeswalkers, which can tempo them out or Helix and attack them. I I kind of like the sideboarding, and I don't think we'll really have the luxury to abuse Astral Drift. So even though it's the namesake card in the build around, I cut one. That in turn makes it easier to trim heavily on Wall of Omens. So for somebody who doesn't have experience, I think the sideboarding plan looks pretty okay. I mean, we're going to keep it because it has Blood Moon, but we're seeing the how bad these ETB tap lands can be, but I'm going to keep it. Opponent will mulligan. If we just draw, like, basic planes, we have so many potentially good turn 2 lines, and including, like, abrading a turn 1 map. So I'm going to play to draw the planes. Yeah. Going to try to draw the planes. We'll deploy Forgotten Cave. We'll say go. I mean, worst case scenario, we just do nothing and have to spend a Simian guide to Moon on turn 3, which sucks, but... Okay, another Forgotten Cave, huh? Yeah, I'm going to play for a high upside of cycling that, especially if we're mooning, we just want to dig as much as we can. Yeah. Okay, basic planes. Cool. That's helpful. See what the opponent does here. Play a mine. Walking Ballista on 1. You got it. Alright, I'm going to cycle the step here. We'll use the Simian guide if we have to. There's another one, sure. Windswept Heath. Alright. It's actually unclear whether we should even get a second basic planes because our hand is all red, but I think I still should. So we have these Simian guides for red mana. Yeah. Alright. So opponent's got the Chromatic Sphere in the tank. They can crack it and make green and potentially beat us that way, but we certainly don't have the luxury of playing around that, right? If we hold Blood Moon and we, like, abrade the Sphere or something, then they could have just had natural Tron. Opponent will play a map. Alright, I think we want to wait on Avalanche Riders to hit something besides these lands here, right? So let's just begin with a Wall of Omens, which is going to at least block Ballista fairly well, and then we can, if nothing else, play a land, pass, hold up, Abrade. Flourishing Fox, huh? I think we're still going to pass holding up Abrade. We don't want the Fox to just trade with a Walking Ballista, do we? Alright, so opponent's cracking map. They're going to go get Forest. Alright, so I think I am going to Abrade the Sphere just to stop the redraw and stop the making of green, because next turn we're going to Avalanche Riders, killing the Forest. So yeah. Alright. So if this turn we can fade to like a naturalize effect on Blood Moon, I think we're in a pretty good spot. Astral Drift, yeah. I mean, the temptation here would be to play Drift and then be able to like blink the Riders. But I'm not going to get too greedy. I think we're just going to go for this. It's like opponent's just putting a counter on Ballista. Sure. Yeah, we don't need to loop. This is enough, or it should be enough. We'll get our 2 points in because opponent seems to clearly have a 4th land. They can just play the Ballista game here. Or no, do they not? Whoa, I guess they were hoping to draw one. Okay, lucky us, huh? Do we want to pay the echo cost in that case? Sure, I will, actually. My thinking here is that the 2/2 body is relevant. Ooh, and we can now Simian Guide and just Lightning Bolt the Ballista. But there's no need to do that in main phase. So I think the 2/2 body is irrelevant, but also if the opponent continues doing nothing, we can then, you know, get Astral Drift and Avalanche Riders combo online. Alright, so opponent found a 4th land, and it's a forest. Yikes. But they're going to tap out, not tap out, but they're going to tap it for Ancient Stirrings, which you understand, but it does give us a window here. Alright. So let's see what we can draw, see if we have a good line. Windswept Heath, huh? Alright, so what can we do? So if we resolve Drift, and the opponent does not... Or, to completely play around the opponent's ability to beat our riders with Ballista, we can bolt the Ballista. Well, we can play a land, play a Flourishing Fox, bolt the Ballista. In response to the Ballista killing Avalanche Riders, or trying to kill the Fox, which we could maybe just let happen, we could cycle Astral Drift to blink the Riders. Okay. Alright, this also gives us a chance to draw like a Street Wraith or a red cycling card, unless the opponent responds here, I guess. But the point is, I don't really care so much about this trade. I care about, yeah, sure, this is fine. I think that's the right play from the opponent, but I care more about blinking the Riders to hit that forest. So we'll say yes. Cycle. Pithing Needle. Sure. I don't really know what to blind name, but... So I guess I'm not going to do anything yet. Got him. Alright, so the presence of Walking Ballista, unless I missed something, kind of stopped us from looping Riders, which would otherwise be GG, but this is still pretty darn good. Once again, for the reasons I've mentioned before, I am going to pay the echo cost, leaving it wide open, I guess. Yes. We draw another Avalanche Riders. Okay, cool. I think I'm just going to needle naming Expedition Map at this point. Obviously, you could spend a lot of time sitting here talking about the pros and cons of naming map versus maybe Chromatic Star, because we haven't seen a copy of it yet, whereas we've seen a copy of map already, versus naming a payoff, like maybe Oblivion Stone. But hope you understand why naming map is fine. Avalanche Riders OP. Let's hit that tower, I guess. They just played it. And now the beats are real, my friends. Hitting for 4 per turn. Too powerful. Alright, so we're showing what the deck can do here. For sure. We've beaten 2 forests. Opponents had enough. Alright. Well, like I said in the deck tech, I think we're kind of a Blood Moon deck first and foremost. But the cycling effects definitely played a role in terms of digging us to enough cards to make that all functional. Also, with Astral Drift able to blink the Riders, definitely cool. So that's how it was supposed to go for us, but that was on the play. Going to be a little harder on the draw, but we also have some really good hands that we haven't seen yet. Anything else we want to do? I don't see anything in the side I really like. You could always bring back an Astral Drift, I guess, but is that better than much? Could be better than Ajani, I don't know. Don't know how to rate Ajani here. I think I'm just going to run it as is. If Astral Drift had a cheaper cycling cost, even by like 1 generic, I would probably play that, but I don't know if the card would be balanced that way. Still probably would be, right? But let's see if we can win game 3 here. We have a pretty poor hand. I think I'm going to mull. It just doesn't have any land hate. It just is like an anti-creature hand with 2 lightning bolts. Opponent keeping 7. Okay. We'll mull mulligan looking for an early moon. We don't have an early moon, but we have turn 1 Needle, turn 2 Abrade, turn 3 moon if we can draw a 3rd land, and turn 4 Avalanche Riders. This could be a nutty hand. So I think I'm going to keep it in bottom Drift. We also have basic planes, so we're not locking ourselves out. Okay, with a turn 1 Chromatic Star, I think I'm therefore probably just supposed to name that with Pithing Needle. Hold on, I need to actually look this up. I'm not used to playing with prison cards. Does Pithing Needle can't be activated unless they're mana abilities? Is this a mana ability because it has sacrifice text but also mana text? Let me look it up real quick. Alright, so I believe the answer is yes, Chromatic Star is a mana ability. So I'm just going to cycle Street Wraith. I shouldn't have played the planes before I looked that up. We have another Blood Moon. Okay, I think I'm just going to say go here. It sucks to have the inefficiency of doing nothing, but you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, and I apologize if that's the case. My quick search, and I didn't want to keep everybody, including OP, waiting, said that this is a mana ability and the draw is a triggered ability, which, as it's resolving here, looks to be the case, right? Definitely seems like the case to me. Opponent is keeping a hand that gives us time to just have Blood Moon on turn 3 and have that be good enough. If we can draw a 3rd land. Relic of Progenitus, huh? Don't really know if I care about that, but we could needle it for lack of anything better to do. I mean, it beats Yidaro, potentially. Could also just Abrade it, that'd be fine. Secluded Steppe. Okay. I like that. Or do I? I mean, my instinct there is to cycle it and assume we're going to hit another land, but maybe we just, like, needle the relic, play the step, and then Blood Moon next turn. I think that's fine. Again, do I really care about relic? Not so much, but denying the redraw, if nothing else, is pretty good. Okay, I'm so out of my element playing like all of these prison cards. I hope I am doing things in a sensible way. And of course, Pithing Needle might not be what wins us the game, but hopefully Blood Moon will, right? Chromatic Star. I guess the dream here is that they just scrying into the missing Tron land and then they just get mooned. And don't have an out. Walking Ballista. Well, we've saw how much of a problem that can be, but hopefully we can beat it, right? There's our moon. There she is. OP with an expedition map. Yeah, another thing I was thinking about with Pithing Needle is just blind naming expedition map, because like the way these games go, it is just so good. But if opponent gets and plays a forest and also doesn't have a claim effect right now, which they don't, then this gives us a good excuse to play Avalanche Riders and just tag the forest. Otherwise, I was thinking about playing another Blood Moon, but I think I'm just going to hit the forest while I can. Avalanche Riders OP. Alright, so we're operating off of 1 white, 3 red, 4 lands all day. We've got a backup moon. Cast Out is a good card it's unclear whether we should cycle it aggressively or not under these circumstances. I really hope the opponent just whiffs on a land this turn so that we can just abrade the Ballista. Oh, they just have another natty forest. That's the nightmare. That is the nightmare. Because now they've got the other green, and they can kill our Avalanche Riders. Are they going to attack and then immediately trade before we get to untap? If I were them, I might, based on last game. But they're not going to. Alright, I think I'm not paying Echo here. Astral Drift, huh? Maybe a little punished not for paying, but at the same time, maybe that's all just a little too slow. So the question is, do we play like a backup Blood Moon here? And maybe cycle Cast Out? If we're going to do that, do we want to cycle Cast Out main phase? For more info, I think I will, but big judgment call here. I want to play a backup Blood Moon. Okay. We're, I think, rewarded, because now instead of playing a backup Blood Moon, I'm just going to bolt the Ballista and hold up Abrade. We could have maybe tempoed them out a little bit better by waiting for them to untap, but I think what they do anyway is just attack. And then we beat bolting anyway, and then maybe they get to add a counter in response, do another point of damage, who knows. Corner case decision anyway. And since they have a forest, I don't feel the need to abrade the sphere. So we're holding it up. Okay, they're scrying for just another forest. Expedition map. Okay. Getting a little scary. Okay, Cast Out, though. I do like that. Now's our time to get this Astral Drift down. The opponent has found enough forest and made enough raw land drops that the backup moon is no longer appealing. We'll still play it at some point if we need to, but I am pretty happy to have found Cast Out, because it can start an Astral Drift engine going if we find a creature to blink, or it can just, like, beat a Worm Coil engine, if that's what their payoff is that they're marching up toward here. But opponents' draws seem to have been really good after their keep and our relatively useful disruption. But I guess they don't have a Worm Coil. Thragtusk. You hate to see it. Flourishing Fox. Alright, we're going to play the Fox. Plan to defensively abrade the Thragtusk during their turn at some point, and hope that we can then put together, we can fade a really scary payoff, which is pretty unlikely. If they didn't have Worm Coil, they probably have something bigger. So I guess we kind of need to fade a land drop almost more than anything else. But the hope is that we can cycle enough to get the Fox bigger than the Beast and take it from there. Feels like we haven't been quick enough, though, doesn't it? Ancient Stirrings, yikes. At this stage of the game, that is a yikes. Yeah, I think we've been a little too dirtily. Just go get another power plant. Secluded Steppe, huh? Well, I'd rather cycle that than Cast Out, so let's... I guess we can just kill their token. That's cool. Alright. Avalanche Riders. Oh, we just can't quite cast them. So if they have a payoff at 7, we'll have been so close yet so far. I'm just going to play my other Blood Moon here. I think it's wise in the face of all that green and the potential Karn to just get a second Moon down. Okay, we killed the token, pretty cool. But the token was in some ways kind of the least of our problems. They found an 8th land too, so now we're at risk of just walking into Ugin. But it is Karn liberated, okay. So what do they do here? If they tick up, yeah, they tick up. This is really unfortunate, but I think we have to lose Riders and just cast out the Karn. We're never going to deal 10 points of damage anytime soon. Feels so bad. But there's Tron for you. I still have 2 cards in hand. All right, they're at 21 life, and we have a 2-2. Still don't think we're getting there, but we are putting up a lot of a fight, I guess you could say. Putting up a pretty good fight. But I think we have enough bad matchups that it's going to feel bad to lose to Tron. which I think should probably be pretty good. And they have another Karn Liberated. Bruh. They're going to exile the cast out. Darn, they click the correct Karn. And then they're going to get the Forgotten Cave out of our hand. All right, I guess we kind of need to draw another cast out or just chain some really nutty cycling things together. But that's so unlikely. All right, Avalanche Riders, another one. Okay. We'll use it. At least it is a haste attacker to pressure the Karn. But it's just doing so much damage to us, and the opponent's going to have more payoffs. And they just have another forest, too. Oof. They'll take away Astral Drift? Doesn't seem like the right play to me unless they have another payoff, which obviously they do. Thragtusk, yeah, okay, then that's totally reasonable. All right. I mean, I don't know what we're supposed to do here. I think we're supposed to not pay the Echo because it just eats up our whole turn. We just have to get really lucky off the top, but I don't know what could come off the top. Certainly not a fetch land. All right, we're beaten. There's no way we can come back from this. Feels bad. The one good thing about Tron games is at least they're usually quick, but not when we're on this deck, I guess. So an agonizing long loss to Tron. I hope that was entertaining for you, and I hope we can beat them again if we run into them. I think we're probably favored, but maybe our clock's too slow to really say that. I will say that a lot of our progressions are quicker than this one. We didn't have an early Fox, nor did we see in either post-side game the 3-1 go-wide sideboard guy. I can't remember the name right now, and that would have been very helpful. But as it is, we get Troned out. Opponent did enough after our moon, and we did not do enough. We had some clunk issues, and yeah, game one is the one where we really fell apart. This was like an okay post-side performance. Game 2 was great. Game 3 was okay. Game 1 was where we really dropped the ball. So off to a losing start, I am afraid, but we'll see you for round 2. Well, the bad beats continue. We have a 4 planes opening hand with 2 red spells and a Wall of Omens, and we're against a Lurrus deck. I'm assuming Rakdos. I'm assuming mulling is a disaster. I'm going to keep it and hope that we get like really lucky with Blood Moon. I'm assuming we can draw a red land in the first 4 cards of our deck. Including the redraw from Wall of Omens. But it's probably going to be too slow anyway against a deck like this. And yeah, it is Rakdos, so yeah, I mean, they can operate fairly well under a moon anyway. Alright, but if it is Rakdos, the other... Okay, we draw Flourishing Fox. There's no way it lives, but it is at least something castable. The other way that we get rewarded is just by being able to cast Lightning Bolt. Draw a red land right away. Instead of in the first 4, in the first 1, draw a bolt, kill their turn 1 threat, take it from there. But, yeah. Turn off auto yields just to spook the opponent about a lava dart getting blown out by Street Wraith. Even this attack is pretty hesitant from the opponent. They might not have instant speed interaction, and they're worried about even the attack getting blown out, but I don't have it, so... Congrats, OP. post-combat Mishra's Bauble. Okay. Are we still thinking? Okay. Opponent will bobble us, yes. Apologies, guys. I hope they don't play this slow for the entire game, but so far it looks less like double queuing and more like just really slow play. Okay. Also a post-combat Thoughtseize. I don't know if I understand the sequencing. They know the top card of our deck, so if they take Wall of Omens, it's a pretty good sign it's not a red land on the top, I guess. Oh my goodness, opponent. Hey, maybe we can win this one on the clock. I don't even want to, but maybe we can. If we can take it to game 3 so far, I would. It looks like we can win on the clock. Okay, down goes Blood Moon. So maybe... That one's a little bit harder to read. I think if they took Bolt, it would be a guarantee we had a red land on the top. If they took Wall of Omens, it would be a guarantee that we don't. All right, we kind of have a red land on top. We have a cycling red land, really. That's really annoying. I'm going to play Wall of Omens. We're taking higher upside lines because we are not doing so hot. Draw of a Secluded Steppe is okay. Inquisition getting rid of our Lightning Bolt. I'm going to give opponent credit here and assume that was the... I guess it doesn't matter. I was going to say assume that was the top deck. I guess it doesn't matter, right? Because they saw our Forgotten Cave. They knew that we couldn't cast either red spell before either discards, both discard spells rather, resolved. Wall of Omens holding off the Swifty attack, holding back the attack. You love to see it. All right, we've drawn Avalanche Riders. I mean, that could actually be okay, considering how stuck on lands they are. If we can cast it next turn. I would love to draw an untapped red land, because then we could cycle Forgotten Cave. And yes, we do. Nice. Then we'll cast Avalanche Riders next turn guaranteed. Seems good. Whether or not to attack here will be pretty interesting. I think I probably will because they're on the back foot in a couple different ways. And, like, what could a Rakdos deck have to punish an attack? Like, Lava Dart would be pretty much walking into our hands, at least in some ways. Where are we, opponent? Okay, there we are. Sacred Foundry. Despite some good things going for us, we're still flooded. We're still in some trouble in that regard. We're continuing to take high upside lines. Attack you. Nice. Flourishing Fox confirmed as a stronger one-drop threat than Monastery Swiftspear. You heard it here first, my friends. Proof is in the pudding. They play a Shadow. Okay. Okay. We have a Blood Moon. Yeah, I think I'm just going to moon him out. And we got to buckle in for a long one here because the texture of the game just changed radically with their top deck of Shadow and our top deck of Moon. Instead of us going on an aggro tempo plan with like Fox into Riders, we are now going on a Blood Moon plan where we hope to lock them out long enough for us to bury them in some kind of advantage. They put Lurrus into hand. We draw Ajani Vengeant. Whoa, that's a spicy draw. Should we try to just kill the Shadow? Yeah, I don't think Rakdos will have any answer to that at instant speed. At least I hope they don't. Sure. We gotta kill the Shadow before it gets any bigger, right? Or we gotta try to. What could they do? They're tapped out. I truly apologize for the slow play here, guys. I know some of you probably already watch at an increased speed. Feel free to do that. Alright, don't have anything. We've been playing for highest possible upside this entire game. We're going to continue to do so. Just free spells. What we gotta fade. That's the concession. All right. Oh my god. Yeah, you got it. Nailed it. Ajani Vengeant and Flourishing Fox are stronger cards than Death Shadow and Monastery Swiftspear. What more evidence could you possibly need, right? So, all that said, I think this matchup is pretty scary, but another Condemn looks good. Anger and Abrade both are a little weak against the top end threats when they're oversized, but we can have some really good windows for them too. We probably don't want to lean too much into Rest in Peace, but I could see playing one, especially because they could be on Kroxa, but even if they're not, they're likely on Lava Dart. They're definitely on Lurrus. Then play one. Avalanche Riders could be a make weight in either direction. Could even play a Kor Firewalker, wouldn't be the worst. Actually, a couple Kor Firewalkers wouldn't be the worst. And finally, going wide makes a lot of sense here. So this is definitely something that I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. I think what I might do here is cut all Blood Moons, even though they kind of won us the game there. The opponent's going to play around them this time, and they're also going to be a lot worse on the draw post side, right? So let's do that. I like the Planeswalkers. Avalanche Riders, I don't know how to raid. Everything else seems fine. I don't know how many Simian guides we should be playing. So I'm going to play the Kor Firewalkers. Why don't we move away entirely from the land hate plan? So I'm going to cut Riders. That enables us to lower our curve. There's a non-bow between playing Anger and also playing Rescuer. Why don't we try this? Why don't we try the full, board control game? So we play Abrades and Angers and a Rest in Peace, and I'm going to shave a single Simian guide to do that. I think this is a coherent plan. I can say that. I can also say that it's hard to say whether it's the best plan with my inexperience with the deck, because you could go in a wide variety of directions, but I think this is all right. We have Wall of Omens, Astral Drift hand. I think that's the type of hand we're pretty okay with keeping, even though it doesn't have removal. You can't really mulligan to removal against their Thoughtseize Inquisition deck. So we're going to play a defensive game here to the best of our abilities, my friends, and Hope it is good enough. We did want to fade the turn 1 Swifty. They've got it. You do hate to see it. We got a lot of good draws, though. Bolt and Condemn are pretty good. Abrade. That's fine. I guess we're just going to get this Forgotten Cave down. Plan on being able to draw more cycling effects to abuse Astral Drift in the late game. In the mid game, we'll just play for more resource efficiency. Opponent floating red mana, then hesitating. They're just going to main phase of bolts. Okay. No anything else, huh? We've drawn a Rest in Peace. That could be good, but I'm not going to use it yet. I'm just going to content myself with an Abrade here. Seems fine. So our hand is shaping up. If the opponent puts Lurrus into hand, maybe we're a little bit priced into the rip. I should mention that rip is a little non-Bowie with Yidaro in that we can never cheat it out, but especially because we only play one rip with our current configuration, I don't think siding Yidaro out is correct. Simply because it still cycles. If the game goes really long, it'd still be hardcast. And there, again, is only one Rest in Peace that we might not ever see, or if we do see it, it might not hit the battlefield. Anyway, opponent fetching, shocking, still does not have Shadow online quite yet. But it could be a Scourge, or it... Yeah, Scourge it is. Got it. Obviously pretty scary. We've drawn Secluded Steppe. So I think we are supposed to play Astral Drift this turn. Try not to die, and then play a defensive game with Wall of Omens and Drift and all the rest. Yeah. Once again, high upside line is what we're doing here. But opponent giving us a lot to worry about with the Scourge, and we always hate the prospect of Lurrus coming down. Just was always going to be an uphill battle for us on the draw here. I'm just glad we won game one. Opponent bolting us. Okay, we're dead to another bolt. But they ain't got it. But now we're just dead to a bolt at any time. So there's that. Okay. We've drawn Windswept Heath. Alright, let's play Wall of Omens, holding up white to cycle the step. Best case scenario, we can... Alright, sure. Assign a block with Wall of Omens, then blink it for value. Worst case scenario, they kill the Wall of Omens and we have to cycle the Drift to blink Scourge so it cannot kill us. That said, we are still going down the tubes here pretty quickly as far as our life total goes, but they're just going to main phase, or they're going to end step a push. So we will cycle in response here. Get to draw a card, and we can still cycle Forgotten Cave off of Simian Spirit Guide to blink on their turn. But Wall of Omens note will not come back because it's on the end step until their end step, right? So I think that was probably pretty good timing, actually, from the opponent on that push, especially if they have other things to do this turn. They're going to unearth Swifty. Yep. We didn't have any good chance to play Rest in Peace this game, but that's another reason why having one in the deck is fine, I guess. If only our life total was a little higher, we could maybe bolt the Swifty. Oh, okay, we've drawn Secluded Steppe, which actually allows us to fetch basic planes and cycle away the Swifty. I'm going to do that. Again, we're playing for the highest possible upsides here. We take 1 damage, but we'd be taking 1 if it connects anyway, so this is just being mana efficient, basically. And then from there, I still have no idea how we're going to ever get there, but we're staying alive. All right, kind of cool. Street Wraith, a totally dead draw, because we're at 2. 3 cards coming back off a drift here on the end step. So we can untap Bolts. If we draw Condemn, we could in theory be still in the game. And we do draw Condemn. Well, all right. So let's main phase a Bolt on Swifty. I think I'm going to play Rip. Hey, we're doing a lot here. This is feeling pretty good. I think the opponent's progression is still a little too strong for us to realistically get there, but feeling pretty good. We have Kor Firewalker for life gain. I was gonna try to find a way to claw back into the game and eventually cycle the Street Wraith, maybe. You have been condemned, Scourge. And also the opponent cannot cast other Scourges or Shadows in the second main. They are seeing a lot of our tech, though, if they know now to play around Condemn, for example, which can be a big blowout against these decks. We've still got huge problems. Still doesn't seem like we're going to get there. They play another Scourge, and it instantly dies. All right, we'll take it. Yikes. But all right, sure. We draw a Lightning Bolt. All right. I'm going to cycle this Astral Drift main phase. Just to blink wall. There are more opportune moments in theory we could save it for, but I'm looking again for the highest upside. I think we kind of found it in Flourishing Fox. Really rewarded for that in some ways anyway. And we're still holding up Lightning Bolt because we can fetch basic Mountain if we are so inclined, but we draw another dead Street Wraith. Ugh, rough. We need to draw a Kor Firewalker to start gaining a little life and to be able to use the Wraiths and all that. Okay. I'm going to go to 1 to thin out. We can at least Bolt Luris, and we have drawn Firewalker. Nice. So we need to fade a burn spell here. That's really good. Just, like, fade a burn spell long enough to, like, I don't know. I guess we need to fade a burn spell from them and draw a burn spell for our own side to get to 3 life, and then maybe cycling Street Wraith is a thing. Oh, jeez. Oh, opponent just drew Lightning Bolt, really? You gotta be kidding me. Oh, that's Exacxies. Because we can respond, and then we are exactly dead. Unbelievable. Maybe I shouldn't have fetched, but whatever. I thought that was a fine time for it. Oh my god, this is so tilting. But alright. So our incentives on the play are definitely different. You know, Valiant Rescuer becomes more interesting. Blood Moon and Avalanche Riders all become more interesting, but we can't do it all, and I think most of our cards are probably a little better. But there is an argument for maybe switching Anger of the Gods out for Rescuer, which I think I will do. I think that's a good play to make here. And we don't have very many red spells, do we? So we're not gaining a ton of life of our own off of Firewalker this way. Is it even good enough to play? I would say, so yeah, still probably yes. Maybe a cheeky one of Blood Moon for a free win potential. I can see moving all the way away from Simian Guides here on the draw. So what if we want to do that? Cut a Blood Moon, or bring in 1 Blood Moon. Do we play like a second rip? I don't think I want a second rip. I think I'm just gonna leave a Simian Guide. It's either that or a Riders, or maybe a cheeky one of Anger. I'm just gonna leave a Simian Guide. Gives us some flexibility to go Grey Ogre mode or to power something out. Sorry if you hear that ruckus upstairs. The kids are going off. Kids are going a little crazy. Hand is fine, I guess. I never know how to rate, like, these double Astral Drift hands. They're just so slow, right? They just seem so... so slow. So if they play a turn 1 threat here, part of me wants to just condemn it for mana efficiency, and so we can save all of our cycling effects for when Astral Drift is online. But another part of me says we should wait for a bigger blowout with Condemn, right? But the opponent plays Soulscar Mage, so that's fair enough. I think I'm just supposed to fetch a tapped dual land here and not make any sudden moves, right? We play Valiant Rescuer. Okay, or we draw it. I'm going to play it. Obviously, it could die and we don't get any value, and that would kind of suck, but, like, the signals of our hand are otherwise a little bit unclear. I like having something proactive to do. I wish it was a Kor Firewalker, but the Rescuer is better in mid-game turns against a deck with a lot of removal, but we'll still play it out. OP leading with a bauble. The pre-combat bauble note this time definitely helps. I wonder if if our life total's under enough pressure that I should have trimmed away a Street Wraith here or two. That's another thought. Against more all-out aggro decks, I would. Against a more mid-rangey deck, it remains one of our better cards. But it's unfortunate when you draw them when you're already on the back foot. Especially in multiples, as we did last game. Opponent's still just, like, really tanking over some decisions here. So they thought, yeah. Okay. I think you should Thought Seize first, but still would probably... Oh, they're going to Thought Seize themselves? What? Was that a misclick, or am I getting next leveled by a 3 million IQ play? We have some cards to Thought Seize, too. Okay, so opponent has 2 islands plus the Bauble draw in hand. We have drawn Arid Mesa. So, we supposed to get a drift down? Probably. The opponent would have to have 2 really, really good cards for us to get max punished for not holding up Condemn this turn. I think we've got to continue playing for the highest upsides we have. And now we should have so many different ways to stay alive and hopefully accrue advantage. See a lot of cards, you know. We are still at the risk of just, like, not having removal besides Condemn and maybe losing to Luris. Opponent plays another Soulscar Mage. Okay, so no Luris going into hand. The board goes wide. I think we have no Angers. Yeah, we have no Angers in, but we do draw Kor Firewalker. I like that draw well enough, but if we play it, we're not holding anything else up. Nevertheless, I will play it. We knew their whole hand. I'm a little punished for getting basic Mountain. I think on average it's correct, but maybe given how white our deck is post-side, I was supposed to get basic Plains there. An interesting thought. We'd be then holding up Condemn. A cycle effect would be really good. But if the opponent is just going to play out another red threat, I'll take it. Yes, we eventually want to say always yes to that, but I was 6th. No Fatal Push. Oh no. If you have a Fatal Push here, OP. You gotta be kidding me, they drew Push, really? They drew Dismember. Ah, why isn't this Auric champion in the crown? No, no. Why isn't that Auric champion? Oh my goodness. This is insane. This is insane. Okay. Well, we just gotta hold up our stuff. Unbelievable. So I think I'm going to begin by cycling a Secluded Steppe to bounce Swifty. And see a new card, and then we're likely condemning a Soulscar Mage, but let's see a new card first. Yidaro, okay. Yep. It's like the first Yidaro sighting, or maybe the second one of the league. I'm just not going to say anything more about them finding black removal. Okay, yes. Cycle. Lightning Bolt. Okay. Well, I'm not really reading them for removal, but it's still probably better to condemn here anyway. Or reading them for instant speed action. Alright, so a good turn from us. They gain 2 life because they gain power equal to the creature's toughness, which was 2. And then I guess Lurrus is going to go into hand. Flourishing Fox. That could enable us to make a stand. And I think we kind of need to save our removal for Lurrus, so we continue opting for high upside lines here. If they have another push or dismember or something. Hey, hopefully it's dismember. And they just go for it. And we bolt them in response. They don't have it. Good. Good. Okay, they might be a little flooded too. Okay, there's the Lurrus. So we'll see what they buy back here. Like, what if they fetch and buy back a Scourge of the Skyclaves, and then they send in some attacks? We can kill them on the crackback, almost certainly, with Drift Triggers and with Fox growing large, and with Lightning Bolt. Looks like that's what they're doing. Uh-huh. But maybe they won't really attack here. Then we'll still be in some trouble. They're going to attack with both. All right. I still have 1 card in hand. Let's just take the hit, right? We probably don't have to, but like just in case they have absolutely anything. Okay, so it is now the end step. So we can begin, I think, by being as mana efficient as possible by cycling Drift to exile Scourge, and then we can untap and... I mean, I guess we just have the kill either way, but might as well play optimally. We get 2 drift triggers. I kind of forgot about that. So I guess we probably could have beaten the opponent even if they stayed all the way back. Opponent is 5 minutes left on the clock. We have 14. Okay. Yidaro. A stylish way to kill. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not trying to slow roll the OP, I just kind of saw the Yidaro and naturally went for it. But if anybody's slow rolling in this matchup, it's probably not us, right? Okay. Opponent making us go to attacks. Got it. That is the concession. Okay, well, I feel like I've played a whole league already. We are on the board. We're 1-1. I'm hoping that the other games go a little bit quicker. This one, you know, I couldn't imagine it going this long, but it did. To be fair, there was a lot of back and forth, and our deck pivoted really well overall into a deck that can kind of control the board and give the opponent a lot of things to think about, and then in the late game can win via Astral Drift, clearing the board away temporarily while the life totals are low. However, opponent, they thought seized themselves at one point. I don't know what that was about. Maybe I missed something. I think it was just a misplay. So anyway, we'll take it, though. We are 1-1 on the board with Boros Drift, hoping for some quicker games and some good performances from us to take us through the final 60% of this league. I will see you for round 3. Okay, we're against another Lurrus deck here in round 3. I guess I'm keeping. We're kind of assuming the same thing that we just faced in round 2. So number 1, we don't want them all. Number 2, Condemn and Gideon should actually both be pretty good, especially Gideon against a mulling opponent. The stronger and more resource flush their progression is, the unlikelier it is that Gideon could really get us there. But, against a stumbling opponent, it really could. And then there's always the free win potential of Blood Moon, which I'm going to keep in all game ones, I think, with this deck. So, yeah. We'll take it. The 5th land off the top's pretty bad, though. But opponent going Bloodstained Mire pass, I guess they are a Lurrus deck that got unlucky. They obviously are a Lurrus deck. I guess they are a Rakdos Prowess deck that got unlucky is what I was thinking. But a second turn passes with nothing to do. I'm not sure about it any longer. Anyway, jeez, only lands. I was just going to say the reason I didn't play Foundry, I played the land, even though I didn't expect a haste threat if they didn't have one turn 1 to come on turn 2, is that I really value thinning out against this mulling opponent with our Flood. But, of course, we are punished because we just shuffle the mountain to the top. So feels real bad. And now the opponent can at least play a Scourge of the Skyclaves, which isn't really good for us. We would prefer them to be as dirtily as possible for as long as possible. They are maybe incentivized to Fetch and Shock a little bit, which maybe we can cheese them with Blood Moon. If they look like they're going to get cheesed by Moon, I'm going to play that turn 3 over anything else. Will opponent they're going to cling our land. Sure. Thought they might be cycling Unearth there. Okay, really gotta fade discard here. We want them to just, play a Scourge or something, not have a 3rd land drop. We get to Moon them. They're gonna play Soul Scar. Okay. Well, the Moon might be even better now, because it's gonna lock all of their black spells in hand, so I'm still gonna do it, and then we'll try to beat the Soul Scars after the fact. Seems really good, actually. We're still all the way up at 19. The opponent still got only 3 cards in hand due to their Maul, and we have Gideon and Condemn, although under our Moon we cannot play both on the same turn. But cycling Yidaro is pretty cool. Opponent with a Dart? Okay, they're putting some stuff together under the Moon. But there's a limited number of such progressions that they can have. They're not mono-red prowess, right? They're going to have a lot of dead cards. Till such time as they can find a basic swamp, which we hope is never. They're shoving hard with the Dart. Okay. I get it. Makes sense. We draw another Condemn. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Seems pretty good to me. Opponent will definitely shove again if they're given the chance, because we haven't shown them any reason not to, and also they need to play for high upsides. given their own circumstances. But we're looking here to double Condemn, cycle Yidaro. Opponent probably has no idea what's going on right now. Alright, we've drawn Simian, Spirit Guide, and Street Wraith, huh? I think I'm just going to play and take up a Gideon here. I want to save this Street Wraith to cycle when we're getting some kind of value out of it, but if they, like, were to end-step bolt the Gideon, then untap and play a Swifty, I would probably dig with Wraith trying to find a Lightning Bolt. But they don't do that. They're instead just going to play a Soulscar Mage, and Gideon's just going to keep ticking up on that. Unfortunately, we remain flooded. So even when we're getting some free wins handed to us, or some free win potential handed to us, our deck is still like, we're gonna make you dirtle. We're gonna make you work for it. But we get to go Grey Ogre mode with the Simian Guide. Feels good. OP with the Bauble, which is a fine time for them to have it from our perspective if they're going to have it, because Soulscar is not doing any damage this turn anyway. They will Bauble us, so they'll know about the top card. And then they'll concede. All right. I want to know what they know about, so let's draw a card. They're going to concede to Cast Out. Okay. Really, they conceded to Blood Moon and Gideon. All right, well, I think I'm going to follow similar protocols. Condemn and Kor Firewalker, and maybe Anger the Gods over Valiant Rescuer on the draw. I'm going to move away from the Riders and indeed from the Blood Moon, although both times I've resolved Blood Moon against that deck, it's been lights out, so maybe we'll leave one in. Still think one rip is fine. And obviously Condemn and Kor Firewalker I mentioned. Why don't we try cutting a Street Wraith this time? I think that's probably good. They've been bad every time we've seen them. And then the question is, how many Simian Guides do we want? Maybe the Simian Guides are trimmable even on the draw here. This Abrade needs to come in. Problem is there's no, obvious thing to do after that. I mean, we can try playing Rescuer and Anger. Obviously, it's a potential non-bow, but maybe we'll draw them in the optimal order, and it'll be good. Let's give that a shot. All right. We have a keeper. The cycling lands are really awkward when we're pivoting to more of an interactive game, and you see that very well here, but still definitely a keep. Really unclear how to sequence with our lands. We need red turn 1 and double white turn 2, and that would be bad enough if we weren't drawing all the opening on all these ETB tapped lands, and because we are, it's just a disaster. So I really want to draw a Sacred Foundry here. We don't. Valiant Rescuer. So rough. You know, I think I'm supposed to play Plains here, and it is a high upside line that has a risk of being worse than anything else we could do. But number 1, it bluffs Condemn. Number 2, it lets us cycle the Steppe. Number 3, it gives us the option of playing Kor Firewalker next turn if we draw a land. And I think at this stage we kind of have to. If we just play Forgotten Cave, we can bolt next turn, but then we're not doing anything else. And if we just play Steppe, we can play Firewalker next turn, but we're not doing anything else. Maybe we're still supposed to play one of these, actually, but our hand is just all over the place. Really is. Okay. Changing my mind a bit. I'm going to play a Steppe here. I'm just going to play a turn 2 Kor Firewalker and hope they can't beat it. I think against this deck, with them on the play, having kept 7 and gone turn 1 Swifty, that's probably our best bet. But no matter what we did here, there's a lot of things that can punish us. It's really hard to say. A big part of me wants to value cycling early because it's just like what the deck does. It can punish any weakness they could have. You know, maybe they keep a 1-lander, they don't hit a second land, we get to Blood Moon. They're going to Thoughtseize. Them Thoughtseizing punishes this play. Because now they can obviously take Kor Firewalker, and then we're just like playing 3-1s into the Lava Dart deck and not having red online for a couple turns. But it's almost scarier if they don't take the Firewalker, because then it means they have like a black removal spell for it. But I'm having to read some cards, I guess, here, understandably so. Definitely a unique one. I love the look of the land base here. Look how beautiful the Onslaught cycle is. Secluded Steppe, very nice. Forgotten Cave I like a lot too. And the Plains kind of matching the theme of the deck, matching up well with Secluded Steppe and being beautiful in its own right. IMO. OP tanking over the Thoughtseize decision, but eventually taking Yidaro? Whoa! Not what I was expecting at all. But sure, they do indeed have a 1-lander. Seeing more cards off of the bauble. We have found a Street Wraith. Okay, having drawn Wraith, I really like playing Rescuer here, because we're going to get a guaranteed body off of it, and we're going to threaten to keep making bodies unless the opponent removes it, and if they remove it, maybe we can clear the way for Kor Firewalker. Of course, if they have red removal, we'll get punished, but I still think this is the line here. So even though Street Wraith is something I trimmed here, we haven't drawn that many copies of them this league. You can see why it's just, obviously, it's like the most broken card in the deck. Street Wraith and Blood Moon are like the real strong modern cards. And if Rescuer draws a Fatal Push here, I'll be thrilled. That's exactly what happens. All right, guys, our sequencing is getting rewarded. It's still a major question mark as to whether it'll be good enough, but our sequencing is, I feel, getting rewarded. And we have now so many good draws. Like, if we don't draw anything, we can just get a red land down, tapped, play a Firewalker. If we draw like another white or free cycling effect, maybe we just play another Rescuer and do that. I'm going to keep the Soldier around for 1 turn, because we might make more. We've drawn Condemn. Alright, it is Firewalker time. And I'm going to finally get this Forgotten Cave down. And I'm going to hit back with the Soldier here. Condemn, a very good draw. There is a world in which... they found a land. Okay. There is a world in which they get stuck, and eventually they do get to stick a shadow after some chipping back and forth. They have a second Fatal Push. Man. So punishing. But these are things that we can still beat. They're going to spend a Lava Dart on the token, which I do kind of get, but with another Rescuer in hand, it seems good for us, actually. Gotta find a Cycler, and we do. Kind of. But we're passing up the chance to Lightning Bolt. I think we are supposed to pass up that chance. So let's play Rescuer. We're going to cycle the Cave. See what we draw. If we draw another red land, maybe we just bolt the Swifty. If not, holding up Condemn off of this Plains is going to be great. Astral Drift. Okay. Let's see what OP's got. We know they can dart the Rescuer if they feel priced into that. But they'll have to lose a land to do it. We'll go Soul Scar Mage. Please play a Shadow and then attack. Okay, now attack. Now attack so we can condemn the Swifty and the Shadow will die. Yep, sure, the Lava Dart play makes a lot of sense here. But Condemn is about to be OP, my friends. Then we can bolt the Soul Scar and we'll have taken care of the whole board. Get condemned. Let's go. That was so hype. That was so hype. All right. I think I'm just going to bolt. Resolve the Drift. Hang on to the Steppe. And attack OP for one, because it would be possibly correct to do so anyway. But they also don't have black land at the moment, right? So it's even more correct to do so. But there they go. Immediately drawing the missing land. It's definitely something they needed to do here. Make no mistake, this is still anyone's game, but we had some stuff go really well for us there. We can at any point draw a Blood Moon and just moon them out. We're not really doing that though, so are we supposed to save the Steppe for some kind of value, or should we just dig for something proactive right now? I'm going to try to get lucky. I'm just going to dig right now. Should we thin first? Nah. Let's just cantrip. We'll say no to the ability. We'll draw a card. Cast out. It's a good find. I am more comfortable having an engine here than I am just like drawing something that's a 1-for-1, but it's a good one to have around. If they play a threat, we'll cast it out. If not, probably just hang on to it, and then it's a cycling effect if we ever get that going. Just want to draw Blood Moon. Opponent found the third land and it's a swamp. Dang, that sucks. Oh, but they crack. They immediately crack? Okay. I was afraid of them just putting Lurrus into hand. Them cracking is great news, if you ask me. But I don't know what's in their hand, and I'm sure that play makes sense. All we're doing is flooding. You do hate to see that. I'm hanging on to the cast out. For sure. Okay, OP finding the third land. And then what? Playing a shadow. Playing another shadow. Oh no, this is how it ends. Alright, well, we're going to cast one of them out. Anger of the Gods. Looking pretty bad here. Alrighty then. I don't even know what to think about this league. This is a cool human soldier token. I'll give you that much. I'll give you that much, soldier. But you're about to chump block a shadow. TBR. GG. Well, that's unfortunate. I guess that's something that they show me a polluted delta. Okay, cool. I guess that's something that makes sense for them to have had in hand that whole time. So, I think I'm going to play a second Blood Moon. I'm going to cut an Anger. Maybe we just cut both Angers. Yeah, cutting both Angers. We want to play like a cheeky Avalanche Riders or just play 3 Moons. I don't know. I think I'm just putting more and more faith into Blood Moon. Being good enough. Let's do it. We have a hand with a lot of issues, but I'll keep it. If we draw like some normal lands off the top, it'll be good. It's got a lot to like, and we don't like to mulligan here. I think I've said that every time, but it's still true. Unfortunately, OP will keep 7. Yeah, just want to draw non-ETB tapped lands for a couple draw steps. OP with a Swifty. And the attack. If only we had Street Wraith. Us with a Blood Moon. Alrighty. Gonna get the Forgotten Cave down, and we're gonna hold up Condemn. And we're gonna smack back for 1. And we really, really need to draw an untapped land next turn. Opponent has no real reason to shove here. Are they considering not attacking into a possible Condemn? That'd be something. I mean, if it's their only threat, that's maybe what they're going to do. I don't know. Or they're deciding exactly, okay, they're going to bolt upstairs. Wow. Sure. A really good spot for a Condemn, as it turns out. You would have thought that a OP would have split the difference. Like, if they want to shove a little more damage across, maybe bolt the board so that they're still taking care of our stuff. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because we draw the 3rd land and we're going to Blood Moon them off of black for the foreseeable future unless they have a swamp waiting in hand. So that's great. Should we get a second plains or a second red? It's going to be a second plains given our hand and the composition of our deck. I should probably attack first, but whatever. I don't care. It's not going to be the difference maker. But yeah, OP gets to push. I guess they probably would have anyway when we attacked. Maybe not, though. I don't know. Okay, OP on triple red. And they don't put Lurrus into hand, so they're obviously holding up removal, which makes me not want to run this Flourishing Fox out into it. Although otherwise that'd be a pretty good play, but I think I am probably supposed to play Wall of Omens here. Try to draw another land, maybe? Street Wraith. Alright, I'm going to take it a little slow here. Next turn we'll play the Fox and maybe be able to beat some removal spells between Street Wraith, Yidaro, and one other draw step before we even begin cycling. Or we could just draw Gideon. Alright, I like Gideon here. OP's still not putting Lurrus into hand. Yeah, I like getting Gideon down here a lot. Gideon behind a Wall of Omens is a great... Okay, they're going to bolt Gideon. And I guess they've got another burn spell. That's totally fine for us. Now our Flourishing Fox is almost certainly going to live and outsize the stuff they're trying to do. We've drawn plains, so we could play Ajani Vengeant. I think I'd rather use him as a removal spell. So let's go with the Fox. Then we're going to cycle Yidaro. I don't want to play a land yet because that's not clear that that's the land we're supposed to play. Okay, I'm just getting out of bolt range now. We're taking a lot of pain, but that's alright. We're 4-4. Unfortunately, we've drawn a bunch of freaking lands off of all of our redraws. They just concede? Okay, we're just basically blood mooning them out. But they just concede because Flourishing Fox is OP, right? Guys, we beat Rakdos Prowess back-to-back, really? We had some fortune in this match with the opponent taking a really deep mulligan game 1 and then just being cold to moon G2. Or G3, rather. G2, they did beat us, so I'll take it, my friends. I will take it. I don't care how we get over the line with this deck. And like I said in the beginning, I think Blood Moon is usually going to be the way, so I hate to be that guy, but that's our role today. We are that guy today, and we're 2-1 with Boros Drift. It should just be called Boros Moon. Astral Drift is a purely supplemental card in this build, but Flourishing Fox is looking like a really good innovation in the deck. It's just giving us a different axis on which to attack and giving the opponent something to worry about. It's proactive, and this deck needs more proactivity, certainly from where it was before. So Fox and Yidaro, some good, aggressive, proactive innovations that are helping us get there, although we haven't managed to cheat Yidaro out yet. Let's hope we do that in the final 2 rounds, and I will see you for round 4. All right. Let's see if we can keep this going. Well, not with a no-lander. We will send it back. Unfortunate. This is a really awkward keep, but it is a keep, I guess. I think I'm going to bottom a cast out, because a Secluded Steppe can cycle just like a cast out can, but we might need to make a lot of just regular land drops. I feel we're getting non-optimal opening hands almost always, and I bet there's kind of a high rate of them, but still. We're going to play a step here. Take it a little slower, err on the side of being able to beef up the Fox, rather than just play it on turn 1. Opponent on a Hallowed Fountain deck. Us with a Simian guide. Okay, I'm going to play the Fox, cycle the Wraith. Find another Fox, huh? Interesting. I'm going to play the step here, I guess. Just one non-ETB tapped land would have unlocked this hand really well. We draw a third Fox. Okay, guys, that's a little excessive, right? But I think we're shoving all in with these Foxes and hope they don't have a verdict or something. And oddly enough, I am going to cycle off of a Simian guide. This has a fail rate that's pretty significant, but we're hoping to get rewarded by drawing a land. Instead, we draw Condemn, which is probably our worst card against a blue-white control deck that we could draw. But we are just kind of doing weird things, so we're presenting an aggressive board and hoping it is good enough. But obviously, verdict is lights out for us. They're just going to concede? Okay. All right, well, our deck looks pretty different than it actually is, because we're not actually anywhere near as aggressive as we showed. At the same time, I don't know that we're going to have all that much to do against a blue-white deck, and we don't know exactly what they're up to either, but I'm going to side out both Condemns, bring in Avalanche Riders. If they're only 2 colors, maybe Blood Moon won't really get them all the time, but I don't think we're going to have enough to do otherwise. We could play a single Rip, which I think would be fine, but I'm probably not going to, or should I? It's either Rip or Pithing Needle or maybe Valiant Rescuer is good. Let's bring in a Rescuer and maybe just be content with that conservative amount of sideboarding until we see more. I think I like that. I think this is a matchup where it's worse to shut off Yidaro than against the Rakdos decks. It's really, really lucky and good for us to win game 1 that way, where the opponent didn't see much of our deck. I think that benefits us more than it benefits them from us not having seen all that much. I'm fine with this keep. It's got turn 2, play the Rescuer, make a body immediately off of Wraith. We like that. Don't like drawing another basic land. I think that's like as many basics as we want to draw this game. Okay, opponent is a 3-color deck. Interesting. We see red. We see Jeskai. Simian guide. Probably a bad draw, but sure. We're going for the Rescuer, who is probably going to get countered or killed. I'm just going to main phase this Wraith. In case we draw another one, we can do it on their turn too. Or in case we drew a red cycling spell, but they don't have anything. Whoa. Alright. They play 3 basic lands of the Jeskai colors, and then they will Helix. You got it. Okay, I'm just going to resolve an Astral Drift unless they have like a Spell Pierce they're holding up. Or Force of Negation, I guess. But it'll resolve, and then we've got to navigate our way to where we can, like, blink Wall of Omens. See what the OP's got here. They're going to Wildfire themselves off of Flagstones. Yep. Yep. Cantripping Rampant Growth. Finding a Rogren Triome, but giving us a window to resolve Flourishing Fox and Wall of Omens. Maybe? Let's try the wall. Avalanche Riders. Okay, so I think I'm going to just cycle the Secluded Steppe here. And blink the wall while I can. I think they could only really path it to beat this. That'd be fine for us, right? Let's just draw a bunch of cards, basically. And we draw Windswept Heath. Cool, so now we can play Flourishing Fox so we're rewarded. Or we can just, like, hold up another cycle effect. But I think I'm going to play the Fox. I'm not going to worry about a sweeper so much. Alright, we draw another Fox. OP shocking in for the 6th land drop was a little scary. Big Tef. You hate to see him. And they're going to bolt the Fox. Okay. So they've got 2 lands open. And we draw Lightning Bolt. It's pretty nice, actually, because then we can potentially finish off Teth. Lots of different ways we can do this, but we kind of need the Riders to connect to finish off Teth anyway. So I'm going to go for it, hope they don't have permission or removal, I guess. Yeah, let's just go for it. Nice, and I'm pretty happily gonna spend my Simian guide here to finish him off with a bolt. So now they're off of Cryptic mana. Are they considering a Force of Negation here? They are. And we get Little Teth out of the hand of the Force. Interesting. Okay. Big Teth ticking up. They're still off of Cryptic mana. And we can blink the Riders in response to the... okay, they have blue, but they don't shock it in. We can blink the Riders in response. And I think we should. Let's do it by cycling Flourishing Fox, which allows us, if we draw land, to consider casting Cast Out on Teferi if we need to. Now we're seeing the Astral Drift engine really go to town. Big Teth is a great engine in and of itself, though. And we were rewarded with the land. Nice. Okay. So we say no here. We draw another Yidaro, too, which is giving us another nice dimension on which to operate. See what they've got here. Okay, they're tapping, like, out. Shark Typhoon, yeah, that's a little rough. But it will at least allow us to cast out the Teth unless they have another force. I think that's what we're going to do. But the shark gets to eat our soldier. This is a really interesting game. I'll take him back off Cryptic, I guess. Well, they find another blue. Can't keep him off. And they're just going to bolt the Avalanche Riders before we have more ways to loop it. Secluded Steppe. Alright, let's cycle a Yidaro to draw. Off of wall. Always yield, but not always yes for Astral Drift, you never know. We can kill their Shark token, though, with another cycling effect, which is great. We draw planes. Alright, let's just play that and go, I guess. Okay, another planes is not what we need. But if the opponent's also flooding, then we're going to be in a good spot. Alright, I'm going to go for the kill on the Shark here, I guess. Yes, you have been blinked. I will draw. Another planes. Come on, deck. No flood. Not like this. Cleansing Wildfire. Yeah. Just trying to decide if it's better to let this resolve. No, I think it's better to, let it resolve first. Okay, we're out of basics because we've drawn them all. It's possible I should have cycled this before my own end step, but whatever. Wow, the flood, dude, the flood. Okay. Do we go for the Riders here? Or do we wait to double spell? I think I'm going to probably wait to double spell. Oh, there's a Foundry in the graveyard. Okay. I shouldn't have played this. I should have played a Plains. That's a dead land right now. Okay, Blood Moon. Pretty nice to have waited to double spell, I guess. Wow, we draw another dead one. I'm still going to wait. I don't think this stuff is very good here. I think on average the wait favors us, but certainly if they draw a bomb we could be in trouble, but maybe making them tap out's good. If we could just flood slightly less. Oh my goodness. Deck, stop giving me dead fetch lands. We've drawn every fetchable land in the deck already. It's insane. An opponent just hasn't made a land drop in forever, so they're just gassed up. They go get Prairie Stream, and then they play Mystic Sanctuary. All right. Just to get Wildfire, yeah. Start trying to Wildfire us out here. If we had just not flooded so badly, it wouldn't be an issue at all. So we are operating off of 8 lands. Blood Moon can take them off of Cryptic, can take them off of a Mystic Loop. So I think I'd rather cycle with Fox than play it as a threat at this stage of the game. So, I'll lead on Avalanche Riders, because I think they're good if they resolve, and it's fine as counter bait as well. Okay, they're just going to counter draw. They don't bounce Mystic. Got it. We're just going to play Blood Moon. Which will turn on our fetch lands to turn them into mountains, which is actually really good. If it resolves, of course. But this is the best shot we're going to get, and it does. Love to see it. So now I think is a good time to cycle and draw off wall while they don't have white open. We draw another Astral Drift, which we can just keep cycling with. We draw Ajani Vengeant. All right, things are starting to kind of come together. It's still a precarious position for us, of course, but I like resolving Blood Moon there a good amount, despite them having 4 basic lands on the field. Again, if we hadn't flooded quite so badly, I think our position would be really potentially very commanding. They can always Wildfire themselves out of Blood Moon to some degree, but still doing some work for us. Monastery Mentor. Yikes. Good thing we have Ajani that can at least potentially kill it. Especially if they tap, like, all the way out here. Yeah. Not all the way, but hopefully enough. Intriguing game, my friends. Yeah, I have to say. And they do have a 3rd island to get, unsurprising. Still have 4 cards in hand. They're still doing a lot. We draw Gideon. Alright, the Planeswalkers are showing up. Lead here on Ajani, I guess. I'm just hoping to altogether fade Force of Negation. If we were playing around Force, maybe we lead on Gideon. Ah, they have a Force. Dang. No, that's so bad. Okay. I could have let on Gideon, but would they have forced Gideon? That's unclear. And if Ajani resolved, then it would, our path with Gideon would be clear, you know what I mean? Anyway, let's then blink the Wall of Omens, I guess. We get to blink our wall and kill a token, which is kind of cool. Street Wraith. Alright. card plays can help defend Gideon. Ooh boy, this is some intense stuff, my friends. So the token stays dead, our wall will come back. We've drawn a lightning bolt. Okay, kind of punished for leaving a plains up, but sure. Impossible to foresee that. I hope you agree. Opponent's just going to main phase a path so we get to blow him out by cycling Street Wraith. Kind of blow him out. I mean, I guess we're going to... Yeah, let's just keep drawing. Yeah, we get to blow him out. Ooh, and a cast out as the draw. So we can even protect Gideon from the Prowess Monk if we want to. Do we want to, or do we want to save the cast out? I honestly think I'm just going to keep drawing cards. Yep. We'll see you later, Monk. Draw another moon. Alright. Wall comes back, a land. Another moon? Oh, Deck, come on. You're killing me here. Killing me. We get pretty punished just because now we only have one removal spell, but didn't know we'd draw 3 bricks. I mean, come on. 3 bricks, really? Okay, then. So we're going to get another Blood Moon down. Just have to hope this lightning bolt resolves, but I'm going to fire it off on their upkeep, which maybe is bad because they'll get prowess this turn actually. But if it doesn't resolve, I think we probably have lost our good window anyway. But this will make it not resolving even worse. It also gave them a chance to tap out for another Shark Typhoon or something, so I regret nothing, but it's a play with downsides for sure. I have Cryptic Command, obviously. I think on average, given the position we found ourselves in after Blood Moon resolved, we could really... What could they have here? Do we value the wall more highly than the Gideon? I think we do. No block. Maybe it was a bluff attack, if so, well done to OP, but... Oh, we have them shields down and we just draw Simian Spirit Guide. Just can't find any cyclers to save our lives here. So annoying. Just gonna play out all my Blood Moons. I don't see a major reason not to besides concealing info, which is kind of whatever at this point. We have seen no copies of Yidaro, and we only have 21 cards left in our deck. Now that is insane. That is really unlucky, if you ask me. Note that the opponent, I never mentioned this, but I was just thinking of graveyard stuff. Note that the opponent exiled Snap to that Fateful Force of Negation, so Snap is in their deck. But I haven't seen a ton of graveyard action from them. Still don't know about Rest in Peace. Opponent will Helix our Gideon. Yup. You know, if we can ever, like, do anything that our deck is set up to do now, we can still beat this. I'm going to try to take some trades here, though. Draw something out of the opponent. No, Simian Guide trades with the tokens, sure. We have drawn Avalanche Riders. Okay, it's a card. Another Cryptic Command. What a surprise. Okay. We're just not quite able to stymie the opponent here. They're not quite mooned off of Cryptic, and they just keep drawing them as we've flooded and drawn the wrong half of the remaining spells. So we're catching the beats from Monastery Mentor, which is kind of cool, you know? They don't attack? Did they skip through? Epic. And then they play a Flagstones into the other Flagstones. Also epic. It remains a legendary land called Flagstones of Trocare under Blood Moon, but it is just a mountain. And then they'll Cleansing Wildfire to basic check us. It's kind of cool how the flavor text remains black while the rules text is grayed out. Yeah, I don't have any more to get, so no. Doesn't matter, opponent finds a Jace off of the cantrip, one assumes. Good thing they skip past their attack, right? But all we can do here is kind of catch up on the clock, and I think we've lost. I wondered if they might Fate Seal us there because it seems so obvious that we have nothing left, but obviously it's hard to go wrong with brainstorming. And we just draw a Simian Guide. This is sad. This is so sad. This is going to be like the longest league I've played in a long time. Hope you guys are enjoying it. This is not my normal cup of tea, but we're having some good gameplay and spots and some really fun moments. But these days, I could never, like, main deck, or main a deck that takes this long to play. There was a time when I would have been down for, like, really mastering a deck like this. These days, I would prefer the games to be quicker, but still decision-intensive. Opponents burying us here as these decks are wont to do. I think if they'd attacked last turn, we'd be dead. We are still basically dead, but let's play it out. We draw Yidaro. A little too late, buddy. We can hardcast it, but we're just dead to the wide board. So I think we should cycle to draw at least once and hope to get really lucky off of all of these effects. We draw the 4th Blood Moon, so that's good enough for me to concede. Yeah, we needed to just, like, chain cycling effects to kill all of the monks and end up probably with a Yidaro on the field. Even so, I don't think we could get there. So, feels bad, but we have now seen almost their entire deck. We know that there's just, like, a little bit of graveyard action with, like, maybe 1 or 2 Snapcasters and, like, some Mystic Sanctuaries. That's about all. I don't know if we were supposed to play Rest in Peace, because, again, it shuts off our Yidaro. I think that's kind of a big deal here. We could play a Pithing Needle, but I probably won't. I think they play too much on the stack. And also there's Monastery Mentor. I'm probably not going to do that. I just might play a Valiant Rescuer number 2 and pretty much call it good. In terms of what to cut, I think maybe the Simian Guides should all go, but again, if we don't have things to do in place of them, we could play a cheeky Anger of the Gods to clean up after a Mentor, which I think is not bad, actually. Why don't we play 1 Anger and just plan on Probably not having the best possible spots for it, but it is an out to that type of board state that we saw there. All right. Ooh, really earning my pay this time, my friends. Okay, I'll keep. I think I'm going to just cycle a Street Wraith straight up. Opponent will mulligan. I'm looking for the chance to go turn 2 Wall, turn 3 Blood Moon. An opponent will mulligan all the way down to 5. Love to see that. So I think I'm going to give up some potential mid-game value of, getting the cycle for Street Wraith for Fox or whatever else we might find. We just got to try to curve out now. And we have drawn Secluded Steppe, so I'll play that. That is getting us some of the way there. So if we draw nothing relevant to our plans, we could just play Forgotten Cave turn 2 and then Blood Moon turn 3. Or we could play Wall of Omens and hope in the top few cards to draw an untapped land or a Simian Spirit Guide. We could also just, I think I'm going to cycle this Cast Out. It's the same exact thing we just did with Street Wraith. Little high risk, high reward in an unusual way. We're not really rewarded. We just get Yidaro, so I'm just going to play the Cave and try to cheese him out with the Moon. Thankfully, we do at least have our basic planes. Okay. Just going for the Blood Moon. Hopefully all opponent can do is get a single basic in response. If they counter this, I'm going to be heartbroken. Unless they have to Force of Negation and further mulligan, right? Okay, they get the island, but the Moon will resolve. Okay, so they still have other outs, potentially. But that's a really good start. They don't play basic planes, which is pretty huge. Maybe they'll just... Yeah, they just Cleansing Wildfire. That's pretty annoying, but sure. Alright, so at least Moon is kind of tempoing them out and still going to do a lot of work in terms of shutting off a lot of their stuff. It should also let us resolve this Astral Drift, and is that what we want to do? Yeah, I think it is. Let's get this engine online. Ugh. Little tough. Bouncing the Moon. We draw Mountain. Alright, so this allows us to go get a second basic planes, and then play Wall of Omens, and then play Blood Moon. And then cycle Street Wraith to bounce, or to flick Wall. All seems pretty good. Flourishing Fox is tempting, but I think I'm supposed to keep them off of Cryptic and stuff and just get the Blood Moon back down. Okay, drawing some cards. Tef ticking up. Is there another little Teferi they're about to play? They're gonna cycle Shark Typhoon. Looks like they're trying to hit a land, doesn't it? And they don't hit one? Whoa, let's go. That is so good for us. I want to, like, try to cycle into an Avalanche Riders. That's what I want to do. But we should probably try to play for the biggest upsides overall for our own deck too, not just for beating the opponents. So why don't we make a land drop, play a Fox, and then cycle a Yidaro. Start there. Always yield to all of the above. I guess we can't play our Riders even if we find one now. Okay. Do we care to bolt the Teferi yet? I don't think so. I think I'd rather cycle Astral Drift again on the opponent's turn. We have Riders. Nice. Opponent has the 4th land. No. Went all the way to the end step again. Didn't really mean to. It's fine. Well, they'll bolt Fox in response. That's unfortunate, but we can deal with that. Another Avalanche Riders, okay. Just going to start by bolting Tef. Make it seem like that's kind of our only play. Let's go for our Riders. Hit that island, I guess, right? Now, the only thing that sucks is we can't quite cycle in response to more removal. But I'm not really giving them credit for that. And maybe we didn't really need to bolt Tef, but it's just like the longer we leave him around, the more that could punish us. I think this is fine. I gotta play a little quicker too. Okay, now we can cycle in response to removal because we have drawn Yidaro. I'm going to go for it now. I don't think they have anything. If they do, so be it. We've still got another Riders in hand and good engines online. Yeah, they do. Okay. I gotta play quicker. Gotta play quicker here. Doing things in the wrong order here, sorry. All right, now we're going to go wide. I'm just taking literal any actions here. Okay, OP with a snap, sure. Oh man, this is so much work. But I think we're gonna get there, my friends. What do you think? What do you think? Helix this guy. Just play another Riders for the hasty beats. That should be about it. Well, not really making us do it all. Alright, we gotta destroy one of our own lands. That's kind of funny. But, it's a pretty cool board state if I do say so myself. Holy moly, like I said, really earning our pay today. You love to see it. I have lots of empathy for the opponent here. They took a lot of their clock too, but we are 5 minutes almost behind them. We have 2:39 left on our side, and we have 8 lands, and a Blood Moon, and a Drift, and a Planeswalker, and a bunch of go-wide stuff that we can also loop against their literal nothing. Avalanche Riders needs to go on the cover of this league. Even in the Tron match that we lost, it was our card that almost got us there. Maybe it's the one that won us game 2. I can no longer remember. This is taxing my poor, mid-range brain into oblivion, but hopefully I'm playing well enough to get there. Obviously, once we reached a certain stage of this game, as you could tell, I stopped talking so much, I just started doing, as I said, literal anything to help get us over the line. And we did get over the line, and you could have gone, what I mean to say is a variety of different ways there, obviously. But we are doing it, guys. We're doing the Astral Drift thing. And always it seems like Blood Moon is the requisite disruption to get the engine online. But the engine is insane once it all comes together. So we've cashed with Boros Drift, and there's still around 5 to play. Really exciting, if you ask me. For those of you who have watched this long, it feels like it's already been almost 3 hours. I don't know if that's true. Thank you, and I will see you for round 5. All right, it is round 5. As I say, we've already cashed. We are against Laplazian. I don't know how to say the name. We'll keep. It is a name I recognize. I believe this is a trophy leader or former trophy leader of some renown, but I don't know what deck they're likely to play. Giver of Runes. Got it. Well, sucks to have no way to bolt that yet, but hopefully we'll find a red land off of this Street Wraith. And hopefully we don't get, arbitered out of the game or something before we can actually cast our red removal. That would be just so rough. Stoneforge Mystic, got it. They go get Batterskull. Okay. We've drawn Arid Mesa. All right. I guess they're going to get a Batterskull down, but maybe our foxes can outsize it. Okay, OP makes a third land drop. And they're going to put the Batterskull in right now. Just main phase, interesting. We've drawn Condemn. Okay. It'd be really nice to Street Wraith into a land. I think I'm going to. Obviously, there's some utility to keeping Wraith in the back pocket, but if we can find an untapped land, it'd be pretty good. Instead, we find Cast Out. I'm going to go all in on these foxes, so let's cycle a Secluded Steppe. Still hoping for a third land. We'll cycle a Street Wraith. We'll cycle another Street Wraith. Why not? At this stage, really? Why not? Are we still haven't hit a land, which is really obnoxious. Are we then supposed to... Are we supposed to condemn this germ next turn? I guess so. I don't really know. It really depends on what they have, right? Opponent does not take any blocks. If they have another equipment in hand, they could go land, equip. Yep, I mean, it's a really awkward play, but it's been It's been an awkward situation for us with not hitting the third land. Skyclave Apparition. That's rough. That's rough. I just wish I had the third land, right? I think we're just attacking and kind of like holding up effects here. Opponent taking the block, eh? I think that's all right for us. I want to be able to eventually cast out the Batterskull, but I also want to be able to like bolt in response if they just play a land and equip it. What an interesting game already. Playing against taxes is so cool. Such a fun deck, such an honest deck. Powerful stuff. We're doing a lot of powerful stuff too, but opponent's Apparition definitely punished us for shoving so hard in on the Foxes as we did, but again, missing the third land has just stymied our ability to do everything we want to do so hard. Opponent with an Arbiter. Okay. Again, no third land really kills us here. So I think we now have to cycle Cast Out. And if they fire the field in response, we can Lightning Bolt the Arbiter. Okay. Nice. This worked out for us. I guess we need a red land, so we'll get Mountain. Cycle into Gideon. And we draw Simian Spirit Guide, huh? Oof. It's just like Batterskull that we can't beat right now. Okay, opponent not blocking. So we can't power out Gideon. Blood Moon's not good enough against Batterskull, so I'm just going to cycle Yidaro here. Avalanche Riders. Come on, deck. No third land for this long. Maybe I should have even just stayed back with the Fox, but I thought there was at least some chance that the OP might... Oh, Flicker Wisp. Okay, they've got so many tools to beat Fox, it's unbelievable. All right. Another SFM. Big yikes. Big yikes. We get another Yidaro. Tell you what, my friends, I don't think it's going to be good enough. But I'll begin there, cycling it. We found a Plains. Alright. I think now the line is to sit back and complicate their potential attacks as much as possible, and then... I mean, in theory, you will be able to Gideon, but the problem is they just... Yeah, they have the sword. Secluded Steppe. Alright, gotta try to kill them this turn somehow. Windswept Heath. I don't think we can get there, but we could... what if we cycle Drift and draw Lightning Bolt off of it? Then we can blink the Stoneforge Mystic and finish them with Bolt. Or if we draw like Street Wraith or something. I think that's the line. I don't think like playing Gideon and trying to take up on the Flicker Wisp is a winning line, because then they'll put the Batter Skull on something else that spirals out of control. I think we need to kill them now. So... and if they have a path, we just lose anyway. But we'll lose to a path if we stay back. Or we could play it safe for, like, another turn. Try to kill them next turn. Yeah, maybe we just try to stay alive with Astral Drift. I'm going to do that rather than try to cycle into our exactly one of Lightning Bolt, because we only have 3 main deck and we've already seen 2. Okay, they're doing the Batter Skull bounce trick. Flicker Wisp coming back is bad news, though. The flying and the ability, it's all just like, I just think we can't really beat this. And we weren't going to draw the Bolt anyway, so not a good... I mean, maybe it was still the better line to draw exactly Bolt than try to ever beat this board, but nothing that we could have done here. Alright, I'm dead enough to concede, right? Yeah, sure. Okay, I think we were very close to winning. They had to win through a early Stoneforge Mystic and Giver of Root. They had just a really good progression, frankly. We were able to stop them from cheesing us out, but their progression was still really good. We want Angers and Abrade, possibly Pithing Needle, possibly Avalanche Riders, and possibly Valiant Rescuer. I'm probably going to cut Blood Moon because I'm more worried about losing to the equipment than anything else. I think cutting Blood Moon is fair enough here. Is there anything else we don't like? Condemn's a little medium, but I guess we could consider the third, and probably supposed to leave the first 2 in. Maybe we just get off the land plan altogether like we've done in the past. If we cut the Avalanche Riders, we can play the Needle and the Rescuer ×2 and the Condemn, and just cut a single Simian guide. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, this actually seems like a bad matchup, though, because we can struggle to beat the equipment, and they have so many of their threats, like Apparition and Flicker Wisp, blow out our aggressive stuff. They at least blow out the Fox. They don't so much blow out going wide. Anyway, I guess I'm keeping. Hand looks okay. I've definitely seen better, but not sure if OP's AFK or tanking about the opening hand, maybe talking to a stream if this person is a streamer, which I believe they are. So I'm going to plead on the Forgotten Cave, because if we draw a red removal, it's going to let us use that. Excuse me. More importantly, I don't think we can afford to have a fail rate at all here. So, okay, we've drawn Valiant Rescuer. I'm going to play that. We're going to go wide. Again, I don't have much faith in the Fox snowballing us to victory here, but this is a card that really could. OP with a GQ into Stoneforge Mystic. Us with a Street Wraith, which is a really good draw. Let's begin there. Gives us the most options. And we found Lightning Bolt. I'm going to attack and offer the trade. I think that's fine. Then I'm going to go Bolt Fox. All right. Giving the opponent a lot to think about here, and their batter skill is going to be dead in hand for the foreseeable future. If opponent, that's just Leonin Arbiter. Oh, that's so tilting. So tilting. Winds of Abandon. Sheesh. Alright, I think I'm going to Simian Guide. Oh my god. Am I? No, I'm going to cycle with Cast Out. We need, again, to play for the highest possible upsides here. Come on, land. We did it, but it's not effectuable. No. No. All right, it is a land that we'd have to fetch with, and we can't do that into stupid Arbiter. Oh my goodness. Please take the trade. Obviously they won't. Okay. We're getting curved out on really strongly by taxes here. And they have the third land, but they don't use field. And we are rewarded because we draw basic planes. We get to at least do something here. Alright, I'm just going to attack if they have... Okay, what do they have here? Skyclave Apparition. Yep. Getting curved out on crazily by a really strong taxes progression. Our deck doesn't really have the tools to deal with this. You need to be really efficient with your interaction, and we're not. We don't have the density or the efficiency. And opponent's just playing through a vial all the apparitions. It's so bad. Arbiter just wrecking us. Giver protecting everything. I don't think we can really possibly win from here. Well, I guess our play here is Plains, Simian Guide, Ajani Vengeant, take down, kill Giver, gain some life. Try to take it from there. It's ridiculously bad, but... doing what we can, my friends, doing what we can. We've even seen a lot of decent stuff, like we drew a Street Wraith at the perfect time. We drew what's it called off the top? The go-wide guy whose name I can never remember, who's been really good this league, Valiant Rescuer, but it's just not enough to compete with a deck like this, curving out just as well. Sure, I take the hit. They've hard-casted Batterskull from bad to worse for us. So we can pay 2 to fetch and then Abrade the Batterskull, I guess is the line, right? I'm going to swing back. Why not? So, if the opponent bricks out from here, which they kind of did. No, they didn't, because GQ's a wasteland and it took us off red. Never mind. I just saw a land go down and then, oh. Oh, no. We have anger, but we have no red lands. Guess we're supposed to cycle an Astral Drift to try to stay alive here. And to make an illusion token. But it's just... we're just getting rocked. By Arbiter this game, more than anything else, I guess. Here's an example, I guess, of what I said in the deck tech of us not being able to afford the... I probably... Maybe I should have... Yeah. I should have done that before blocks. I didn't think that one through well enough. Yeah, I should have done that before blocks. That way we could present a trade here. Because now this apparition's just going to come back and get our illusion. Playing defense with Astral Drift against their deck with all the ETBs is just a losing battle. It's just a desperation move. You would only do it to ooh, oh, okay. I was going to say, let's draw Simian Guide and we can anger their board away because we've drawn a red land, but we are not so lucky. But we've got Wall of Omens. Oh, it's exile a non-token permanent. Okay, that's fair enough. So our play was actually worked out okay, but I won't pretend that I saw it that way. We cannot afford... to shock that in. Did opponent brick for even one turn? No, they did not. Or maybe they did, but we're getting punished anyway. Yeah, I don't know really what options we have here. Oh, they didn't brick. They've got a 3-drop to Violin, really? That's Flicker Wisp. Okay. I'm dead. Well, opponent completely not drawing us, and I think the matchup's pretty bad anyway, so At least that one didn't take a million years. So we crashed down to a 3-2 after winning our 3 matches in the middle of the league. As I say, I think that D&T matchup seems pretty horrid to me. But guys, we beat. I'm just so satisfied to have escaped with a cached league here. I'll take it, right? I can't really ask for much more. We played against a bunch of high tier decks too. It's not like we're playing similar fringe decks. We are against Tron and mono white taxes and Jeskai Wildfires and double Rakdos Scourge, Rakdos Shadow, Rakdos Prowess, whatever you want to call it. So we are definitely hanging, and I think in some places we got lucky. In other places it was just like, did Blood Moon do enough for us or not? Honestly, if it's not a Blood Moon matchup, it's probably not a good matchup for this deck. You could configure your sideboard to make it anything really good, probably, but at what cost, right? At the expense of some other stuff. So we get styled on by taxes. That's fine, I guess. And I don't know what my conclusion is from here. Valiant Rescuer was pretty good. Flourishing Fox was pretty good too. There was an idea in my Discord when I first posted the list to run Chalice of the Void, which is another really good idea. And I guess I'll mention that here. Playing Chalice on one, putting Chalice in the deck with the intention of mostly setting it on one would necessitate moving away from most of these cards. And sorry, got overtaken by a coughing fit there. I believe I was talking about Chalice on one. You would therefore have a restructuring if you included Chalice on one, not only away from the 1-drops, but that would have cascading changes throughout the list. So whether or not that's worth it, I don't know. It seems like the only reason this deck is as viable as it is because of the proactivity of Flourishing Fox, and moving away from that, and of course Lightning Bolt accompanies it well just because it helps finish people off if Bolt isn't needed to control the board. I don't know if that's really where you'd want to be, but it is another option. Chalice of the Void is definitely a stronger card in a vacuum than Flourishing Fox. On the other hand, I'm kind of low on Chalice in Modern overall, usually am, and especially right now, it's like, whatever, I don't think that many decks are that soft to it. Almost all of the ones that are have really good ways to beat it anyway. Like, I've almost never lost to a Chalice when I'm playing Prowess. It's just not that big a deal. Like, it's, if you draw all of the wrong cards into it, and the opponent answers all of your threats, obviously you're not going to win. But most of the time it's like, okay, that's a good card, but I can beat it. So I thought I'd mention that in case anybody wants to take this for a spin. Maybe you could try this version, and you could also try Chalice of the Void. Definitely a really interesting potential out of that card. We'll see if anybody makes more out of this list, whether it's more 5-0 results with this, or adapting Chalice, or some other stuff I haven't really thought of. But this, I'm just relieved and satisfied and pleased to have cashed. And while the final match against D&T did feel pretty bad, and the agonizingly long loss to Tron also felt pretty bad, I'm not going to complain. We sign up for that when we play a deck like this. We sign up for really long games, and sometimes the just raw power level differential of the top tier Modern decks will make us feel like we're kind of not really competitive. And on the other hand, when our deck is going off, even if it's just landing a Blood Moon, but especially like we saw at the end of round 4, when we're chaining Avalanche Riders, when we're looping Riders, and when the opponent is mooned out, they can't do a single thing about it, and you have the most lopsided board state you could possibly imagine. So I think that the length of the game and some of the gaps in how the games feel, just part of the nature of the deck. But the deck is super cool. It's really impressive. I am sad that we didn't get to cheat a Yidaro in, because I do think that happens a lot with the deck. There's 4 of them, and the games go long, or if they're not going super long, they're at least going into the mid-game if it's a real game. And we not only have 4 of those, but again, every time you cycle one, your proportionate density of Yidaros in the deck gets bigger, and we're just cycling all day. So you really should be escaping this card a good amount of the time. Unfortunately, we did not today. So a bit of a missed opportunity to do something really cool and unique, but Avalanche Riders MVP, or maybe in conjunction with Blood Moon. The land hate plan, 100% MVP, no question about it. Flourishing Fox had some good moments, but honestly, the opponents were usually able to deal with the card, and maybe Valiant Rescuer was a little bit better. I would need to look back. Wall of Omens felt really good. Or maybe Wall of Omens was our MVP threat, right? Just looped this so often for so much value. Obviously, Astral Drift, we saw that it can be pretty slow. But I think we saw a wide-ranging series of use cases where we had some games that we ran away with by sticking it, and other times we had to cycle it, like Desperation mode against D&T at the end there, and other times we had our cake and ate it too, where one was down and we were cycling the others for double triggers. It's really, really good stuff. So I think Avalanche Riders and Blood Moon have to go on the cover. Maybe Wall of Omens gets there. Who knows? Gideon was pretty good here too. Like I said in the deck tech, I think Gideon's main role is something that you can play as early as turn 2 to beat combo decks or to make them unable to beat you until they deal with him. And also he can supplement the plan if you're otherwise competitive in a lot of matchups. And we saw the latter happen. We didn't face any combo decks today, but against Prowess, when we were able to kind of keep parity with them, landing a Gideon at the right time, definitely really, really nice. So Gideon was sweet. The card cast out is definitely impressive. Street Wraith, we saw a couple feel bad spots where we couldn't even cycle it or cast it in the late game because our life total was low because we don't make black mana. But we also saw just how good it was at curving out early, especially. So lots to like here. Not necessarily my something I'll be like going back to right away, unless the donors say so, and then I, of course, am at their disposal. But it was a cool change of pace. Like I said in one of the matches, if I was a few years ago where I had more free time, I could really see it being rewarding to tinker with a deck like this. Right now, I don't have the time to do that. It's hard enough for me to keep up with like optimizing mid-range in the current meta, so that's where my focus has to stay. So I don't think we'll be seeing too much more of this deck, again, unless a donor requests it, but it was really cool to feature it at least once on the channel, and I'm glad that we had at least a respectable result of 3-2. Definitely very, very cool. Blood Moon OP, Avalanche Riders OP, so thank you for watching. Thank you so much to Connor Smith for your generous support, my friend. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoyed that board state at the end of T4 of round 4, as well as the wins over Rakdos, which is one of the most powerful decks in Modern. So your list has legs, my friend. It can definitely get there. We didn't even really have like nut draws almost at all that I could tell. I think this deck is capable of more powerful and cleaner progressions than we saw here today, but we'll take the 3-2. Thanks again, guys, and let me know what you think of this wild and crazy Boros Drift archetype. I hope to see you for the next video, and I'll talk to you soon.